Tonight on True Blue, True You, we explore the meaning of integrity and its application in a highly commercialized society. Through a series of interviews and reenactments, our correspondents will expound on the significance of integrity to oneself, the academe, the workplace, and the family. In a commercialized world, it has been hard to uphold one's integrity. This documentary will define integrity and will identify the barriers in trying to uphold it. We try to understand the causes for integrity to be compromised in a commercialized world by presenting the public perception and expert opinion of scholars on the value of integrity. This documentary will also state how integrity can be upheld amidst these barriers.
My name is Julia. I work at the Bureau of Customs and I obtained my degree in AB Economics on scholarship at the University of Santo Tomas. Throughout my life as a student, I hope to be able to pay this privilege forward to my community. As a Tomasian, I was formed to be a woman with a high degree of competence, who reaches out to others with compassion, and who exercises her profession with respect for the integrity of persons. In my work at the Bureau of Customs, I hope to assess revenues where they are due and curb illicit trade practices in the Philippines. I was just shocked to know that in my first week of work with the Bureau of Customs, I was asked by my office mate to open a drawer when there was an expected trade coming for Mr. Binay that day. I immediately asked my office mate why, because my cell phone was kept in that drawer and I was worried that it would get lost. But he just said that I should just keep it open and just relax.
Hey, is anything coming up?
Yes, Mr. Binay is actually claiming a shipment today, so just keep your drawer open.
What? Why? But my phone's there.
I know, but keep it open.
What?
Just keep it open, okay?
Okay.
I didn't know what was happening then, but when Mr. Binay came to my desk, he requested for his shipment to be released in the same day. I was worried because that is not how the policy goes. It is expected that the shipment will come out at least 2 to 3 days after because of the certificates and the processing that goes with receiving the shipment. But suddenly, Mr. Binay dropped an envelope of cash on the open drawer that my office mate asked me to keep open.
But I would like to have the goods immediately, so I would like you to find a way. Perhaps this should help you find a way.
I was shocked. I didn't know what to do. My office mate just told me to just give a portion of that cash to those that helped Mr. Binay get his shipment. It was such a struggle for me because back in college, I knew of people who cheated their way to graduation. Despite this, I stuck to my values. I never gave in. I continued to work hard for my grades. Now that I'm working, I faced a similar dilemma, and I wish I had known better.
Integrity goes by other names like wholeness, holistic, even holiness. That is to say that everything that is proper, to a being like a human being is there in proper proportion. That's why, for instance, in ethics you have, or in theology you have four cardinal virtues, and then all of the other virtues that are proper to a human being to possess are all there. Integrity, you can also say he is a just man. So everything is there. Now in ethics, there are three concepts, especially for professionals. One is competence. That's more on the intellect and it's more objective. Do you know your science? Do you know your art? And then there is integrity that has to do more with morality, no? Whether your your actions are governed by your reason rather than by anything else. And then lastly, you have to have diligence. When you really get into act, you pay attention to every detail and you pursue your activity, with professionalism, with diligence.
It was a time that my integrity was put to test. I work as a project auditor at the projects all over the Philippines, and using that fund that came directly from the office of the president. I remember it right, it's a 4 billion peso project. So as a project auditor, I went there, and the first time I saw the project, and much to my amazement, I couldn't see any 4 billion peso there that supposedly should be there as a facility or anything that's of form of investment. So I made my audit, I made my report, and when I came back to the office, I was surprised that I was called up by my supervisor then, and she said to me that I have to change my report. So I said, "Mom, that's the thing that I found there in that particular project." And he said, "Yes, I know, but you cannot just make a report based on what you see, because there are a lot of people involved in this particular project. What it's all about." And then suddenly she explained to me that the fund was dispersed, and you have to make a good report that there is at least a facility there that have been built, and some some kind of equipment that was bought. And I said, "No, Mom, the only thing that I found there is about a 10,000 peso project, not a 4 billion. Few people are working there, and I don't see any equipment that will cost at least 1 billion peso." When the director talked to me and said, if you don't want to change this report, find another place to work. So I said, "It's your call, sir." So after 6 hours, I got my transfer, and I said, "Oh, it's okay, as long as I keep my integrity." It's not only true in the government, but also in as I worked also in a private company for the last 23 years. Same thing, they may not be the recipient, but they are the source of this kind of doing the not the right thing. Because for me, integrity is doing the right thing at all times and in all circumstances. Integrity is fast fading in this generation, and it's sad thing to. You'll be surprised that even up to the level of an undersecretary, there's such thing as, you have to give something. And like 20 years ago, I have experienced that, and until today, I'm still experiencing such things. Never did I change what I sing to all these people. I always tell him that, that it's a wrong thing, and I will tell him that we will never be a part of that. It's not because we are self-righteous, but we thought as a company that it's not the right thing to do. And we knew that somehow we'll find some people that are, that will appreciate what we are doing. And some people will appreciate the goodness of your heart, that you want to do the right thing. It is without a trade-off. Always, like, if you bribe, you will have the permit in a day or two or in a week. If you don't, it will take months or years. But still is, I maintain that that position that no matter what, we just have to do the right thing, because it's the right thing to do.
Something as simple as a business permit. You're a legit company, okay? You want to renew your business permit, or let's say you want to get a new business permit, okay? Either if you're a corporation and you filed with the SEC, or you're a single proprietorship, and you filed with the DTI, that's the Department of Trade and Industry. When you do all the filing, no, and then later on, Robert, pakisagot, you're ready to get a business permit. Sometimes they give you so much hassle, so much trouble. Okay, they'll say, oh, you need this, oh, you need that, this and that. But once you can talk to somebody in the business license office or business permits office, and then you say, boss, let's have lunch, or I'll be frank with you, kayo na bahala, kayo na lumakad nito, I'll give you na lang magkano pang expenses at saka pang lahat na. Give it 3 days, it's out.
It is also peculiar that we have seen, usually in the government service, every 3 to 5 years there is reshuffling. And I stayed here for 14 straight years without being reshuffled. So there are things which I bank on. First is, Andrew is a policy on immediate action on all things. So I see to it that all papers coming to my table, before I leave at noon time, it is being cleared and acted. And before I leave at 5 o'clock, everything is cleared. So there is transparency and immediate action. It is also peculiar here in Region 10. This environmental youth camp. One of the purposes of this environmental youth camp is I am equipping the youth, which are the leaders of tomorrow and at also time. They are the one doing some rallies, in informing them on the sustainable development concept, the role of industries in protecting our environment, as well as job generation and economy. So I always brief them with this, and this is also a two-pronged project. If the company is complying, then these people will be able to protect it from unnecessary pickets. But if the company also will not do their job, they will be the one to police the company, because they know the environmental laws as well as the rule of the company as far as complying with the sustainable development concept. We have a continuous training for pollution control officers. So these people are our link between the company and the government. So we inform them of the rule, what are the things they have to do, and all the recent developments that is going on. So they are brief of it. So we see to it that there is a continuous training at the same time, informing them that any problem they have, inform our office and we will solve the problem with them. I am strict in complying with environmental laws, but I am enabling companies to comply, helping them to comply with the regulations.
Integrity is the wholeness or the completeness of something. In other words, no deviations or no digressions from the truth. From what I've read, it comes from its original word, or the root word is from integer, and much like in math, it's a whole number. I subscribe to the fact that if you're familiar with the statement that wrong is wrong, even if everyone is doing it, but right is right, even if no one is doing it, or even if nobody is seeing you. Article by Lynn Upshaw of UC Berkeley. I read that in an era of social media and Google these days, consumers subscribe to the idea of informed skepticism, where people are a little bit wiser than they formerly are, and they cannot be fooled with a lot of gimmicks and a lot of promos, because they know that they will doubt these promos until you prove them otherwise.
Pasalig ko nga buhaton nako taman sa kumahimo nga mapakaon ako inyong anak sa tinaro nga pamaagi. So kahit wala ko'y trabaho pero paningkamutan ako. Taman sa akong mabuhat. So nagkuha na ako ng lisensya. 14 years old, kabalo naman ko mo drive. Kaya naman may mga sakyanan sa una. Mo din to nga nag-drive ko tricycle, fish car, jeep, Pio Minica, hantod inani. So at least kuan sir, that time na murag main akong kahimtang sir nga nag-drive na ko, murag okay na ba? Murag kita man sa kung ugangan nga maayo among kuan, gialagaan ko magid ang anak. Sir, di pasangilan ko sa silingan sir nga nangawat ko sa ilang tindahan og gatas para didi lang sa akong anak nga dili tinuod ba. Gibutang-butangan ko sir. Wala na to sa ako, wala gi ko mo yun nga muganti ko nga patyon ko siya oron sa bubalos ko wala. Gani ka ng tindahan karon na purdoy man na siya. Gakati nagkuan siya sa ako karon nga so siya donis. Sir nakasulay na sila sir og sudan na nga kana bitong tuyo og mantika sir, di ba yalo kanon dayon sudan naman na. Asin. Oh. Nakatry sila. Tapos mag-eskwela sila, magbaklay. Kaya wala kami nga pamilya sir, dali may maluoy sa anang mga minyo bitaw sir nga galisod.
Okay, makarelate man mo.
Lagihan mo guna mo. Sa ko pag kami na ko ma'am, di na wala na akong barkadista. Wala gid ako kay tutok mo ko sa akong kwan kay mo may promise na ko sa akong ugangan. Wala, pass is pass. Wala na sa ako. At least nakita nila nga gibuhat gituman ako akong istorya. Ngayon na.
Opinion to be able to say that to determine whether integrity is still intact in society lies mainly on the individual members of society, because I think it will be too idealistic for one to say if there is indeed integrity in society. So I believe it all starts with the individual. The problem there is the way I see integrity, it's a virtue. Okay, so given that it's a virtue, not everyone would practice that virtue, or even if one practices integrity, it cannot be said that he every day in his life practices integrity. There are just like in any other virtues, there is a point in time or there are circumstances in life that would make us compromise. For us to be able to say that one practices integrity, that person has to show in his life on a day-to-day basis that he really practices that. But I think no one is perfect, and no one is able to practice integrity 100%. We can just show integrity in the way we do things, but it cannot be perfect. So it all lies on the individual first and foremost.
The trouble with that is the culture or environment you have. In other words, you can fall for the idea that you want to do what everybody else is doing, accumulating wealth, power, etc. So you have to make your own stand, to be counter-cultural in order to achieve self-authenticity. Develop moral character unless you are willing to go against the flow of the majority and just be true to yourself, you know. Try to attain meaning in your own life, whatever everybody else is doing.
There is hope even in the most hopeless situation. Integrity is not lost. It just needs to begin from the self. It is not sufficient that one becomes content in doing what everyone else is doing. It takes courage to uphold one's integrity, and that courage lies inside of me and inside of you.
Ay, putol.
Pwede mo